received the invitation to speak here, I was surprised to find out this is a scholars conference among a series of industrial ones. And this fact, once again, brought up the central question in my not-so-long research career. What is the role of researchers in the blockchain world? More specifically, what is my role? And what is a researcher anyway? Some researchers are seen as gods. They conjure the impossible and generate a huge industry, like Satoshi. Some play God. They believe in the pursuit of truth. They are free from the constraints of law and morality. And others are oracles. They remind humans of their limitations and reveal the universe's pattern. But the blockchain world no longer needs gods and oracles. The developers and entrepreneurs, they don't need us to tell them what cannot be done. At least I'm not good enough to be one. So, knowing that I cannot create or reveal something magnificent, I find pleasure in destroying something that claims to be magnificent. I discovered my true talent after this revelation comes after attacking a Bitcoin scaling protocol called Bitcoin Unlimited. I will tell you that story in a minute. My true talent is making others unhappy, and being the cause of this unhappiness brings me great happiness. And I am not alone. After checking today's agenda, I realized most of the speakers are security researchers. Admit it, choosing to be a security researcher means that there must be something deeply psychologically wrong with us. There's even a German word for this kind of pleasure. It's called Schadenfreude. So I hope to be a gadfly. Socrates, in his defense when on trial for his life, compared himself to a gadfly, which stings people and whips them into a fury, all in the service of truth. What am I doing here? I'm here to disseminate bias. These are my opinions. Sometimes they are rejected several times before being accepted for publication by some open-minded reviewers. Outside academia, they are also loved by some and hated by others. Just like Zheng Yefu, a professor in my alma mater, used to say, a PhD equips one to convince others of their biases. How boring a person would be without any biases. This is the title of my talk. Let's begin. I will delve into 5 different types of protocols. I know most of you are most curious about Ethereum, so I will save it for the last. Just in case I go a little bit over time and our host has to cut me off, they'll feel a little bit guilty. First, against Bitcoin Unlimited. This is Jonathan Sampolinsky. He is the designer of the Ghost protocol and the founder of Kaspa. He guided me in the early stages of my PhD. Back in 2017, he told me in a phone call that Bitcoin is about to split into 2 chains. Maybe there's something you can do. So what happened then? For those of you who are too young to remember things, in 2017, there was a Bitcoin scaling debate on how should Bitcoin increase its throughput. The most popular approach among the miner is a protocol called Bitcoin Unlimited. It claims to raise the block size limit without splitting the network. Its supporters were so confident about its superiority that they claimed to launch a 51% attack once they become the supermajority. But what worries the community is its security. Its supporters claim that attack will cost the attacker far more than the victim. Due to time constraints, I don't have time to cover its technical details. I will just focus on one point. In BU, there is no block validity consensus, which means a valid block to you may be invalid to the others. Each miner chooses for itself what means a valid block. Each miner has its own block size limit. What we did in this study is to analyze 2 claims by BU supporters in 3 different incentive models and show that BU weakens Bitcoin security in all scenarios. In essence, what happened is In BU, an attacker can generate a block so that the honest mining power is split onto two different chains. And at the end, the two chains will converge so that more than one honest blocks are orphaned by just one attacker blocks. So in my opinion, BU's slogan should be modified into Bitcoin Unlimited, release the potential attacks. After our paper was released, BU's support rate dropped immediately. Coindex reported our results, which ended the debate around BU security. Several months later, BU's support rate dropped to 0. This paper was published in Connect at the end of the year. Second, against 9 other proof-of-work protocols. To improve Nakamoto consensus, I designed, modeled, and evaluated dozens of ideas, but none is perfect. But these flawed ideas kept being published with none or partial security evaluation. I think people need to be informed. I'm a little ashamed to admit this is in line with crab mentality. If I don't get it, you don't get it either. Here's the story above the table. There are many protocols that claim to improve Nakamoto consensus. But the real question is there a protocol that comprehensively outperforms NC in security? To evaluate that, we first need to understand how can NC be improved. NC's main weakness is its poor chain quality, which leads to 3 attacks. First, selfish mining attack. The procedure of selfish mining is identical to that of chain quality attacks, but these 2 attacks have different goals. A selfish miner aims to raise its profit, whereas a chain quality attacker aims to raise its percentage of main chain blocks. These 2 attacks are not equivalent in other consensus protocols. Second, double spending attack. I think I can skip this part. Everyone knows what a double spending attack is. Third, censorship attack. In a censorship attack, the attacker claims to invalidate all blocks confirming certain transactions. And if some miners disagree with the attacker will try to invalidate these blocks. Although the success rate of this attack is low, the rational choice for honest miner is to join the attacker so that the attacker becomes a de facto owner. There are other mining-related attacks, but they don't target the consensus protocol directly. So our evaluation framework consists of 4 metrics. A better than NC protocol needs to either achieve better chain quality or resist better against all 3 attacks. Accordingly, we split all the protocols that claim to be better than NC into 2 different groups. The better chain quality protocols claim that I can raise the chain quality and solve all the attacks fundamentally. The attack usually with a different fork resolving policy. The attack-resistant protocols claim that I don't need to raise the chain quality. I can defend against the attacks. We further split this group into 3 subgroups. Reward all protocols would compensate the losers so that there is no incentive to do selfish mining. Punishment protocol will fine all the competing blocks so that double spending will get punished anyway. And reward lucky protocols, they only distribute rewards to certain lucky blocks, hoping that this block serve as anchor point to secure the network. Our results show that none of these protocols comprehensively outperforms NC. They either only raise the chain quality in certain attack scenarios or sacrificing one attack resistance for another. We discover a series of protocol-specific attacks and several insights on why they fail to achieve their goals. This talk only has room for 2. The first one is rewards don't solve the attack. It is a common mistake to try to design a novel incentive mechanism to defend against certain attacks. However, attackers have different incentives. There is no reward scheme that discourages all of them. We discover a dilemma called rewarding the bad versus punishing the good. If you reward all the mining product, then there's no risk to double spend, because the double spending attacker will get the reward anyway. If you punish all the competing blocks, you actually give the attacker a new tool to perform censorship attack. If you reward only the lucky blocks, the attacker can use the lucky blocks to claim the rewards and use the unlucky blocks to attack the honest miners. The second insight is about how to design a consensus protocol. We should not design protocols too complicated to analyze. Neither should we perform security analysis that are against only one attack strategy, against one attacker incentive, or with unrealistic parameters. Just like Knudsen used to say, if a protocol is not provably secure, it is probably not secure. But actually, Knudsen never said this. What he said is, if a protocol is provably secure, it is probably not. But the modified quote is also valid, I believe, unless you are Satoshi Nakamoto. This paper was published in IEEE SMP 2019. Due to time constraint, I will skip this part. Just remember, sharding is very difficult. Fourth, against two DAG-based protocols. For those of you who are not too young, you should know that Bitcoin suffers from a security performance trade-off. If you want to raise the performance by increasing the block size or decreasing the block interval, you will end up with more orphan blocks. Just like Uniten illustrated in this figure, with more orphan blocks, you actually have worse security and worse performance. The security is worsened because it allows the attacker to secretly generate a longer chain with fewer percentage of mining power. The performance is also worsened because all the bandwidth wasted on propagating these orphan blocks do not contribute to transaction confirmation. This trade-off is solved by my design NCMax. We don't have time to cover how it works. You have to take a leap of faith, and trust me, it solves the problem. But it is not easy to get NCMax published. We were rejected several times before being accepted. Part of the reason why it is so difficult to get it accepted is that the reviewers keep asking us this question. Why design a chain-based protocol when DAG protocols solve the security performance trade-off already? This motivates us to do another study persuading the community that DAG protocols do not solve the security performance trade-off. What is a DAG-based protocol? To have higher throughput, by people I mean Uniten. Uniten proposed to replace the chain-based blockchain structure with directed acyclic graph. Each block can have more than one predecessor, and more than one concurrent blocks can all contribute to transaction confirmation. But early DAG-based protocols either have weak security guarantee or only offer partial security analysis. The only two worthy opponents are provable secure DAG-based protocols, Prism and Oki. They can prove their security and performance by decoupling transaction synchronization and confirmation. Due to time constraint, we don't have time to cover how they work, but their main idea is very simple, just like NCMax. So the burden of transaction confirmation falls on the shoulder of a series of NC chains of small blocks. Why do they use NC chains within a DAG protocol? The benefit is that you can borrow NC's security proof, which is really mature and rigorous. Can they really get away with the security performance trade-off? Of course not. The problem of these two protocols is that there's a hidden assumption. They use several small blocks and hoping that these small blocks enjoy a short and constant delay and are always accepted immediately, so that they can get away with the security performance trade-off. But it does not hold. We discovered two phenomena where this assumption is false. The first is called block jam. Assuming that your network can only process one block per second, and you have 3 blocks mined within 2 seconds, then at least one of these blocks cannot finish its propagation within 2 seconds, no matter how small they are. There's just not enough bandwidth. The second is called late predecessor. Assuming you have a small block, which is the orange block, refer to a lot of large blocks. even if the small blocks is propagated immediately to all the miners, the miners cannot mine on top of it until all the larger predecessors are received. The miners have to wait for the larger blocks, although they are the predecessor of the smaller block. We did some clever mathematical analysis and show that they also suffer from the security performance trade-off. However, it's not easy to get it published either, because the reviewer keep asking us this question: why analyzing a DAG-based protocol when chain-based protocols already solve the security performance trade-off already? I know they are probably a different set of reviewers, but the ironic feeling is authentic. I spent the last 2 years writing a paper because you said my last paper was not persuasive enough. And now that this paper is finished, you told me you were persuaded 2 years ago. So I find myself in an awkward position. In order to get my paper published, I hope the protocols I attacked get more popular so that people believe it is worth attacking. In the end, this paper was accepted at NDSS, the same conference that accepted NCMAX. May the best conference get the best papers. I lost against all proof-of-stake protocols. For those of you who enjoyed the technical part, I'm sorry. This talk is too short to be wasted on attacking proof-of-stake protocols. If you are truly interested, you can check out my 2019 talk, where I spent an hour illustrating why proof-of-stake can never be as secure as proof-of-work, and how many attacks are yet to be formally analyzed. We did some simple statistics. We did a little project at our research group that surveys 585 blockchain papers presented at top CS conference from 2020 to 2022. Surprisingly, there are still more proof-of-work papers than proof-of-stake papers. We discovered the following insights. For this formal analysis of Nakamoto consensus, researchers discovered that it is more secure than previously believed. But for proof-of-stake protocols, researchers discover more attack vectors. Basically, these attack vectors instantiating my 2019 talk. And new proof-of-stake designs, we are not sure they can ever achieve proof-of-work security. And there's no analysis or measurement study on proof-of-stake ecosystem because they are either too centralized or too homogeneous. A special case is Ethereum proof-of-stake. I mention it because it's so much fun. In Ethereum, a valid block to some may be invalid to others. Recall that, which means there is no block validity consensus. Ethereum uses synchronous model when issuing rewards and partially synchronous model when confirming blocks. Recall that if a protocol is not provably secure, it is probably not secure. Thus, it could reward the bad and punishing the good at the same time. Recall that rewards don't solve the attacks. I thought it's a good topic for me to work on. However, I was too late because a lot of researchers already jumped on it like a pack of wolves. Some of these issues are already solved. Ethereum claims to own the future. However, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. What's next? With so many researchers attacking Ethereum, it is difficult to find a new angle, let alone a new message. Yet I managed to find one, but I write slowly. So I will end this presentation with my most sincere blessing towards Ethereum. Please don't die until I am done with you. Thank you.